So I may have done a bit of makeup shopping, but in my defense, there are a lot of exciting things here. I have new makeup that is not necessarily new to market, but new to me, and a little Sephora birthday gift to top it all off. Today, we're going to put everything on and see how it performs and figure out what I'm actually excited to keep using. If you're a fair olive like me or genuinely interested in these products, you're gonna wanna get comfy and let's get started. Let's start with our first product, which is a skin tint from Kylie Cosmetics. So I have the Kylie Cosmetics Skin Tint Blurring Elixir in the shade 1WN. I got this from the Kylie Cosmetics website for $49, but I've seen this at Shoppers Drug Mart for $43, and I just checked on the Kylie Cosmetics website and they're selling this for now $50. So I don't know what's going on with their prices, but at the time that I purchased this, I paid $49 for it. And I got this because I've been hearing that the skin tint is amazing and I kind of wanted to try it out for myself. So it's supposed to provide a weightless second skin finish that's supposed to last up to 12 hours without getting patchy. I like that the packaging is small and also a squeezy tube situation, so it makes it really travel friendly. Okay, so I'm just gonna give this a really good shake. I have prepped my skin with a bit of milky toner and sunscreen, but I have not yet put on a primer. So I'm gonna go in with my favorite, which is the Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Blurring Balm Powder in the translucent shade. So let me just put that on quickly. And it's really hot in here. I had to turn off the air conditioning because it's loud and super distracting. And the weather outside is almost 30 degrees Celsius. If I'm a little bit more red than usual, or if I'm a little more sweaty than usual, then you know exactly why. All right, let's put some on the back of my hand. And it's quite runny. I'm just gonna start off with this amount, and then if I need more, I'll definitely dispense a little bit more. And the coverage for this is supposed to be light to medium. And I've already used this a couple of times before, and I have noticed that this skin tint leans a little bit more on the pinkier side than my usual foundations, but I can still work with it. So if you're a fair, warm olive, you can get away with using this product because it's a very light coverage product. I am gonna go in with the sponge after I go in with my brush, but I'd like to spread the product around with a brush first. So it did take some of the redness down, and I have yet to put some on my forehead. So why don't we just do that right now? Just gonna spread that around for now. And I have used this once before. I haven't used it for more than 12 hours, to be honest, but I have used this in really hot and humid conditions, and it held up really well. I did have to go in with a concealer to get a little bit more coverage, but the skin tint does a very good job of just evening out my complexion and slightly neutralizing the redness in my skin. Okay, so this is the first layer of the skin tint on. And I think what I'll do is I'll go in with a second layer, but I am gonna go in with a sponge instead. So I'm just dispensing a tiny bit more, and I'm gonna focus this on the areas where I am a little bit red. So that means I'm gonna concentrate this in the center of my face. All right, so this is the second layer with the sponge application. And I gotta say, it looks really nice. The claim of having a second skin finish is definitely true. And if you're going for a no makeup look or a barely there makeup look, this skin tint is actually really great for that, because even though I can still see a few of my blemishes peek through, the overall appearance of my skin looks pretty even. And if I'm being really honest, I'm so hot right now and I'm sweating, but this skin tint is actually holding up really well. Like, I'm pretty sweaty up here, And I feel like the skin tint is doing a pretty good job of mitigating the shine. So I'm really impressed by that because yeah, not to be gross or anything, but I am sweaty. So yeah, for this product, I am genuinely surprised at how good it is. Yes, it is a little bit pricey for a skin tint, but overall, I really do like it. This is really great for a no makeup look or a barely there makeup look. And it feels really light on the skin, so during hot and humid weather, this is the perfect product to wear in my opinion. The next product will be a contour stick. And yes, I have a few contour sticks already in my collection, but I really wanted to give this one a try. So this is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Smooth Blur Contour Stick in Greyscale. And I got this from Sephora for $46. And the reason why I picked this up is because I had a lot of success with the powder bronzer in Golden Beach Glow. If you have watched my previous videos, you know that this was a recent find of mine, and I love it because it has a yellow base for the bronzer rather than a pink, orange, red base. So this bronzer doesn't have the tendency of looking orange on the skin, especially for those of you who are fair olives. So if you're looking for a bronzer that doesn't look too orange, you definitely want to give this a try. And when I saw this contour stick online, the swatches looked really promising, and I had a chance to swatch this on the back of my hand in person, and that also looked really promising as well. So I picked this up and I wanted to see how different it was compared to my CoverGirl and my Haus Labs contour sticks. Spoiler alert, I do have plans on making a video of all the contour products that I have in my collection, so stay tuned for that. This product is also supposed to be blurring and really easy to blend out. So without further ado, let's put this on. Now, the instructions online says that you can directly swipe this on your face, but I really don't like doing that because you don't really get a lot of control of how much product goes on your face. And I find that swiping a product like this directly on your face does disturb whatever foundation or complexion product you have underneath. So I would much rather just apply this on the back of my hand to warm up the product and then apply it with a brush. So that is the color right there. Look how beautiful that is. So I just cleaned off my brush and I'm gonna work the product into the fibers of the brush. And here we go. And yeah, this contour stick is really easy to blend out, especially if you're using the hand to brush method. So that's what it looks like on both cheeks. And I'm gonna add just a tiny bit onto my forehead as well. I'm especially focusing this into the hairline. I know that some of you don't love putting makeup in your hairline just because it's kind of a pain in the butt to remove, but I don't mind doing it because it does make the makeup look a little bit more cohesive. And whatever I have left on my brush, I'm going to run this along my jawline. And I'm also going to try to feather this color out all the way to my ear. All right, so this is the contour applied. Now, without spoiling too much of what I'm going to be filming in the future for my contour products video, I will let you know that this specific product, the Anastasia Beverly Hills Contour Balm, is very similar to the Haus Labs contour stick in Chisel. So right here I have ABH's contour stick, And this swatch right here is the Haus Labs Contour Stick and Chisel. You can probably tell that Chisel is slightly warmer than Greyscale, but feathered out, they are quite similar. So let me see if I can just blend these out for you. Okay, so I've blended out the two. I'm not sure if you can see, but Chisel has more of a warmer undertone, whereas Greyscale has more of a neutral undertone. So another thing to mention is that the ABH contour stick retails for $46 at Sephora, and it has 8 grams, whereas the Haus Labs contour stick is $42 and it only has 3.5 grams. So you're basically getting double the amount of product from ABH versus getting a contour stick from Haus Labs. But going back to ABH's contour stick, I think it looks really good, really soft and really natural. I like that it has a neutral undertone. It's not necessarily, I would say, gray, but it does provide just enough of that contour to make it look really natural and really seamless. I'm really glad that I tried it out, and I can't wait to feature it in my upcoming video. So moving on to the next product is the Sephora birthday gift. So this product is available for those of you who are VIB status or Rouge status from Sephora, and you can only get this online. I wanted to try this formula out, but I didn't want to spend $41 on a blush, knowing that I can try this for free at around the time of my birthday. So we're not going to be using the serum portion of this gift, but we're just going to be using the blush for cheeks and lips. And the color that is provided is called Cheeky, which is described as a cool pink. It's so cute. It's so small. I do appreciate that we get to try this for free. I have tried this out once before. I think the last time I wore this, it didn't last as long as I hoped it would. Like, I put this on and then about 4 hours later, it kind of wore off, so it looks like I didn't have a blush on. I know that Merit is supposed to be like a barely there makeup, only there for enhancing your features rather than completely changing them like a full glam brand would. So I kind of get the principle behind this brand, and with that in mind, let's put it on. So I like to warm this up on the back of my hand and then apply it with a brush. I have tried swiping this on my face. The balm is quite slippery and thin, so if you're wearing a full coverage foundation that's a little bit on the thicker side, this is definitely going to disturb it if you're swiping it directly on your face. So I'm being a little bit extra cautious by putting it on the back of my hand. I cleaned off my brush and I'm stamping this product into the fibers. So that's what it looks like. And if you're curious about the color, that's what it looks like sheared out. Here we go. I will say that this is a really pretty color, and I'm just double checking if it's moving my foundation underneath. So far, so good. So that's what it looks like sheared out. I don't want to add more because this is a very balmy product, and I want to be conservative with the product as well, just to give it a really good chance of performing well. And I am adding a little bit more for the other cheek. So yeah, it is disturbing my skin tint underneath, just a tiny bit. All right, so here is the blush applied. All right, so I will set this aside for when it's time to do lips. But for now, I'm going to set my base with setting powder, and then I'll be right back with eyeshadow. I am back and I have set my face with setting powder, and I used bronzer to warm up the top half of my face, and I've also done my brows. And if you're curious about the products that I've used, for powder I used my Huda Beauty Easy Bake setting powder, and for the perimeter of my face I used the Kosas Cloud Set pressed powder in the shade Airy. For bronzer, I used the Anastasia Beverly Hills Smooth Blur Bronzer in Golden Beach Glow. For brows, I went in with the NYX Micro Brow Pencil in black. For brow gel, I used the Rare Beauty Brow Gel in soft black. All right, so now that the base is set, the bronzer has been applied, and the brows are done, it is now time for eyeshadow. And I actually have two products here, but we're gonna go in with the first one, which is the Morphe ChromaPlus 6-pan eyeshadow palette in Mauve mode. And I got this from Sephora for $23, which is an amazing price for a product, especially for a place that offers high-end makeup. And I got this shade specifically because sometimes I find that mauve shades work better as a nude tone than brown shades, because sometimes when a nudie brown shade has a bit of warmth, it can end up looking really orangey. And so I figured something with more of a purpley undertone might work better, especially for my skin tone. And I like how this palette has a almost white shade and a almost browny mauve-y dark shade. And the shades in between have a variety of undertones. So I feel like even though this palette is made up of all matte shadows, I feel like this is a very versatile palette to work with and a really great companion product for any collection that is lacking mauve tones. The first shade that I want to apply is this white shade. I want to apply this on the brow bone and on the middle area of my eyelid. So this is acting as a kind of like a matte highlight and also a transition shade. All right, so this is the white eyeshadow applied on this side, and this is the one that I have yet to apply it on. And I would say that these matte shadows aren't quite Natasha Denona eyeshadow quality. I would say that the shadows from the Morphe palette are just slightly, and I don't mean this in a negative way, they're slightly chalky and just a tiny bit less blendable, but it's still a fantastic product. So don't let that deter you from trying this out, and it's so affordable too. So now that I have the white shadow applied to both eyelids, I'm gonna go in with another shade. So let me actually hand swatch the 4 mid-tone shades here. That is the nudie brown shade, and then this is the pinkier shade that was right beside it. Here is the dusty gray shade. And then here is the rosier shade. So I think based on these swatches, I'm going to use this shade right here. And I'm gonna apply this on the bottom portion of my lid, and I'm going to feather it up to the mid area, basically where the socket is. Okay, so that looks good so far. And I think I want to try a different color on the lower lid. So I kind of want to try out this shade right here. And I'll just run this along the bottom lashes. I'm just going to feather this out just a little bit on the small outer V of my eye. All right, and this is the brown taupey gray shade on the lower lids. Okay, and I think I want to add a tiny dusting of a pinkier shade. So I think I'm gonna go into this shade right here, and I'm going to sweep this along the upper lash line. And try not to poke yourself in the eye when you're doing this. All right, so that's the third shade applied, and I think the last shade that I want to use is obviously this darker shade, and I'm going to use it as a bit of an eyeliner. I'm going to try to tuck that in to the roots of my lashes. Awesome. I think it looks really good. And one thing I want to mention is the size of the mirror. I feel like this is an excellent size for traveling because I can still look at both of my eyes and the top half of my face when it's in its horizontal position, and then when it's in its vertical position, I can still see the entirety of my face. So if you're traveling and you need a matte shadow palette, this is a really great option. So yeah, super travel friendly. I like how it's really sleek, and the design on front helps to tell you that this is a mauve toned palette. So yeah, I am thoroughly enjoying this and I can't wait to use it more in the future. For our second eyeshadow product, I have the Marc Jacobs Born Star Cream to Powder eyeshadow in the shade On Brand. And this shade is a matte shade. So obviously this is a luxury purchase and a treat yourself moment because it is a single eyeshadow, but like, I gotta say, the packaging is super cute. I like how it's an inflatable balloon type situation. It just makes it so fun. And the interesting thing about this is that it's a cream to powder formula, and it's supposed to be long wear and waterproof. So that's what really drew me into this, as well as the packaging, let's be honest. So I'm going to use this product to warm up the eyeshadow just a little bit. So I'm gonna run this underneath my eyes. And while this is described as a nude shade, I find that this shade runs a little warm on me, which is not necessarily a bad thing because I find that this shade with the Morphe palette kind of completes the whole mauve brown taupe spectrum. And so far it's applying really nicely. And because it is a cream to powder formula, there's hardly any fallout. There's actually like no fallout whatsoever. It kind of looks scary in the pan. Like when I first got this, I was like, oh, that's gonna be really dark, but let me just swatch it for you on the back of my hand. It just applies a lot lighter. I'm kind of curious to see what the metallic formulas are like, but I don't know, I just don't need like a crazy color or even like a champagne nude color because I have a ton of those already. So for now, I'm just gonna stick with this and see how it works, just because $40 for a single eyeshadow is kind of expensive. But I get that it's not the eyeshadow formulation itself, it's also like the packaging and everything that makes it expensive. I want to test this out a little bit more and see if I can use it as a standalone eyeshadow. And when I go traveling to a hot and humid destination, I figured that this would be a really great one and done eyeshadow for just throwing it on and then going about my day. So yeah, I don't have my full opinions formed on this product just yet, but I am looking forward to using it more. All right, so I am going to do my lashes and add a little bit of highlighter, and then I'll be back with lips. I have my lashes done and added a bit of highlighter, and if you're curious about the products that I used, For my lashes, I used the Maybelline Sky High in Waterproof for my top lashes, and then for my bottom lashes, I used the Essence Lash Princess Slim Brush Long and Curl Mascara in Waterproof. And then for highlighter, I used the Fenty Beauty Kilowatt Freestyle Highlighter Duo in the shade Lightning Dust and Fire Crystal. All right, so we are now going to apply this on my lips. I'm not going to use any lip liner because A, I don't really use lip liner, and B, I find that for any lip swatches, lip liner is kind of cheating in my opinion. So we're going to use this straight onto the lips. And as I'm applying this, it kind of reminds me of those EOS lip balms from back in the day. They were really fun to apply, but they were horrible for conditioning your lips. They just ended up sitting on top of your lips and then it dried out the skin on top and it was horrible, but I think this is a lot better than that, thankfully. And with this shape, it's kind of hard to get into the corners of the lips, so I'm just stopping shy at the corners where I can't really reach it. And then I will just go in with my fingers to finesse the products into the corner. And the texture of the balm itself is quite thin, as we've already established when I was applying the blush on. So it's not gonna really do anything for really dry, chapped lips. It's not gonna be conditioning. This is just purely just for color. Because the texture is so thin and balmy, there's no longevity with this product. It doesn't dry down, obviously, so I feel like you would have to apply this often. But the color itself is really cute. Like, it goes well with my entire makeup look. All right, and there you have it. This is the final look with all of the products that I have shown you today. And I think I really like how it turned out. I particularly love the skin tint and the eyeshadow palette from Morphe. The other products are really great as well. I'm still kind of on the fence about this Merit Blush Balm, but I think I need to give it a couple more tries before I form my final thoughts. If you're still here, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really do appreciate it, and I hope this video was helpful in some way. In the comments below, let me know what you got for a birthday freebie or what you're planning on getting when your birthday is coming up. And it doesn't have to be from Sephora, it could be from MAC, it could be from e.l.f., it could be from Ulta if you're from the States. Let me know, I'm really curious. If you want more makeup related content with fair olive skin in mind, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.